Shocking message: rise from the ashes or stay forever trapped. God's urgent warning at 3 am. Moon hung high in the night sky like a cold, watchful eye. Darkness enveloped the small town of Willow Creek, casting shadows that seemed to crawl and slither through the streets. A faint chill danced in the air, whispering secrets as the clock struck 3. This was the witching hour, the time when the veil between the living and the dead was thinnest. And in that eerie stillness, a single, spine-chilling scream shattered the silence. It echoed through the empty streets, rattling windows and sending shivers down spines. Emma, wide awake in her dimly lit bedroom, felt her heart pounding like a drum. The scream felt like a warning, urgent, desperate. She lay frozen in place, a lump in her throat, as if something dark was pressing down on her very soul. Just yesterday, the townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about a series of strange occurrences, animals acting bizarrely, shadows darting past streetlights. But tonight felt different. A heavy sense of dread nestled in her chest, and she craved answers. Suddenly, her old radio sputtered to life, crackling through the unsettling quiet. A hushed voice rang out, delivering a warning unlike any other: do not ignore the signs. Rise or fall. Only the chosen will escape the night. Emma's eyes widened. The message seemed so personal, like it reached out to her from the abyss. She could almost feel the weight of its gravity pressing against her. Was it coincidence, or something more sinister? As she rummaged through her thoughts, the lights flickered, cutting off her contemplations. Panic surged within her, a burning need to uncover the truth. Her gut twisted, and the air thickened around her. What was this ominous warning? Was it meant for her? Or worse? Emma's mind raced with possibilities, each one darker than the last. She knew she wasn't alone. Something was out there, watching, waiting. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With her heart racing and her mind swirling, Emma decided she needed to know the truth behind the voice on the radio. She slipped into her jacket and stepped out into the moonlit night, a wave of terror crashing over her with each step. The streets felt foreign. The shadows seemed to reach out, beckoning her toward the unknown, and then she saw it, a flickering light in the middle of the park. It pulsed like a heartbeat, casting strange shapes against the darkness. Emma hesitated, fear gnawing at her. What was it? Something told her it was the answer she sought, but another part screamed to run. Each breath felt heavier as she took a step closer, the glow pulling her in like a moth to a flame. The air crackled with energy, and she knew this was just the beginning. What would she find at the edge of that light? An answer? A trap? Only time would tell. Emma's heart raced as she stepped into the park, the night air thick with anticipation. The flickering light danced like a beacon, growing brighter with every cautious step she took. It was mesmerizing, and yet an unsettling pull urged her to turn back. The shadows seemed to breathe around her, curling in the corners of her vision. Just a little closer, she murmured to herself, her voice barely above a whisper. Yet deep down, she worried that she was stepping into something far beyond her understanding. The ground crunched beneath her feet, each sound echoing unnaturally in the stillness. As she drew near, she realized the light was emanating from a circular patch of ground covered in scattered debris, fallen branches, shards of glass, and what appeared to be remnants of a charred object blackened and twisted. Suddenly, the light intensified, and she stumbled back, almost losing her balance. What the hell? Emma gasped as the pulse quickened, not just in the light but within her very being. The air crackled with static, a prickly sensation crawling up her arms. Her skin prickled in warning something ancient and powerful was nearby. A raspy voice sliced through the air. "Only the chosen will see the truth, Emma," it echoed, rising and falling like a haunted melody. Emma's breath caught in her throat as her mind reeled. How did it know her name? "Who are you?" Her voice quivered. "Find the key, break the curse," came the response, a wisp of sound that wrapped around her. The light flickered again, and with it, images began to swirl within. Faces of townsfolk, their features twisted in terror, flashed before her eyes. Shadows danced and melded together in chaotic whispers. She saw her neighbors, their eyes wide with fear, as if pleading for something she could not grasp. The scene shifted, revealing the old church at the edge of town, the one that had stood deserted for years. A gnawing fear settled in her stomach. What did it all mean? Emma felt a pull towards the church, an urge she couldn't ignore. This can't be real," she protested, stepping back. But the glowing light had wrapped around her like a vice, and she could feel it pulling her toward a destiny she didn't understand. Just then, a shadow moved through the corner of her vision, and she turned sharply. The park felt alive with an energy that set her heart racing. In the distance, just beyond the trees, a figure stood watching, cloaked in darkness. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't just a message, it felt like a warning. "Emma." The voice called again, more urgent this time. "The key to your salvation lies within the shadows. Trust no one, except yourself." With a crashing wave of terror, the pulsing light abruptly extinguished, plunging her into absolute darkness. Panic surged within her as she groped for something tangible, trying to ground herself. The air was thick and suffocating, and she could no longer tell where the shadows ended and she began. Suddenly, the figure emerged from the darkness. It wasn't just a silhouette, it held the faint outline of something familiar. "You shouldn't have come here," it intoned slowly, the voice all too familiar. Emma's stomach dropped. Who are you?" Fear gripped her as adrenaline surged. Then, everything began to shift around her. She saw snippets of reality, flickers of the past colliding with the present. The dirt where she stood felt like quicksand, pulling her deeper into the unknown. Could the warning truly be for her, some twisted fate unfolding right before her eyes? The figure stepped closer, its features coming into view, and nothing could prepare her for the face staring back. "Emma," it said softly, but the words were a curse. "You need to remember. Or it will all be lost." What did she need to remember? The shadows whispered secrets that slipped through her fingers. Just when it felt like the darkness would engulf her, she caught a glimpse of light breaking the illusion, a small, silver key glinting at her feet, beckoning just out of reach, but before she could reach down to grab it, everything went dark again. What awaited her in the shadows? Did she dare take the plunge? In the suffocating void, Emma felt time stretching, the silence weighing heavily around her. She rose to her feet, her breath coming in shallow bursts, pulse racing like a frightened rabbit. The sound of her heartbeat drowned out the whispers. If only she could focus, push through the panic that threatened to swallow her whole. Then, as if the darkness had eyes, she felt it shift, the air stirred with anticipation. Her instincts screamed for her to run, to escape whatever horrors lurked within. But a strange new courage settled in the pit of her stomach. She willed herself to take a step forward, feeling her way hesitantly through the thick shadows. Would the key still be there? "Emma," the voice echoed again, now laced with urgency. It wrapped around her, vibrating with a strange energy. "The time is short. Find it. You must remember." The pressure grew, squeezing the air from her lungs. The familiar face loomed back in her mind's eye, a harbinger of both fear and familiarity. She gritted her teeth, fighting against the tide of despair. "Remember what?" She cried into the darkness, her voice trembling. As if compelled by her cry, the shadows rippled, and there it was, the silver key, gleaming faintly amidst the blackness. Hope surged through her, igniting her resolve. She lunged for it, falling to her knees, her fingers brushing the cold metal. Just as she grasped it, the ground beneath her shifted violently. A groan of wood-splitting echoed around her, and suddenly, she was not alone. Figures began to materialize from the depths, faces twisted in anguish, mouths moving silently as if pleading. Their eyes were wide with something unnameable: fear, despair, and a desperate longing all mingled together. Who are they?" Emma whispered, her heart racing. Were they trapped like her? What was their connection to her? The glow from her key illuminated their features, stark in the darkness. They looked eerily familiar, townsfolk she had seen on countless occasions, people she passed every day. One face struck her like a thunderbolt: the old priest from the church on the edge of town, his expression a blend of sorrow and determination. "Emma!" he called out, the sound reverberating with an otherworldly echo. "You have to choose. It's your only chance to save them. The truth is hidden within the church." "What truth?" Emma shouted, but the shadows rose up around her, the unearthly figures swarming closer. "The past demands to be remembered," they hissed in eerie unison. "But to break the curse requires sacrifice. Will you rise from the ashes, or fall forever into the shadows?" A surge of adrenaline shot through her, and she grasped the key tightly, heart pounding. The weight of her neighbors' trapped souls pressed heavily upon her shoulders. Could she really do it? Could she face whatever awaited in the church? A flicker of light sparked in her mind, recalling those dark events whispered about in hushed tones, something that had been hidden for far too long. With sudden clarity, she turned toward the path leading out of the park, each step forging a connection back to the truth and the priest's haunting words. The key pulsed in her hand, guiding her like a beacon, but just as she reached the boundary of darkness, a cold hand shot out from the shadows, gripping her wrist. The face of the cloaked figure emerged again, lips curling into a wretched smile. "You can't leave yet, Emma. Not until you remember." The world around her shifted again, reality warping, and Emma screamed. What price would she have to pay to uncover the truth? As visions spiraled around her once more, engulfed in an unbearable rush of sounds and images, one thought became crystal clear: she had to face the darkness. But could she summon the courage to confront the past, or would it consume her? The key tightened in her palm, and she took a deep breath, ready to plunge deeper into the chasm of secrets waiting ahead. The cold grip tightened around Emma's wrist, snapping her back to an oppressive reality. The cloaked figure leaned closer, shadows dancing across its features, obscuring its eyes yet amplifying the sinister smile. "You feel it, don't you?" it whispered, the voice slithering through the air like smoke. "You're destined to uncover the truth, and I'm here to ensure you remember." Every instinct in Emma screamed to pull away, to fight, to flee the suffocating dread that wrapped around her like a shroud. But the key pulsed in her palm, a flicker of warmth in the relentless darkness, urging her to confront the monstrous truth hiding in the church and perhaps within herself. "Remember," it echoed, a command wrapped in a ghostly plea. Emma felt the shadows stir around her and sensed that each figure, each tortured face, gravitated toward her. The villagers, it was as if they were feeding off her fear, their urgent whispers etching urgency into the very fabric of the air. "Emma, find the truth. Save us." The old priest's face loomed again, etched with desperation. The burden of her neighbors pressed heavy upon her heart, twisting like a knife. Their stories bound her to this moment, urging her to act. "Let me go," she cried, her voice raw, resonating with the fear in her chest. With a jolt of strength and determination, she ripped her arm free from the icy grasp and stumbled back. The darkness roared in response, swirling, coiling like a storm. Relentlessly, it closed around her, the figures moving in a spectral chant, their voices rising in a cacophony echoing across the void. "You must choose. The key unlocks more than just doors. It reveals the shadows of your past." Emma fought against the tide of panic, heart pounding louder than the overwhelming whispers. She stumbled toward the boundary, toward the light just beyond the horizon of blackness. The church. If she could just reach it, if she could unlock the door with the key, everything might change. The air thickened, electric with anticipation, and in a rush, she crossed into a realm of memory. The once familiar path stretched out like a treacherous maze, twisting and warping through moments captured in time, a carnival of forgotten laughter and concealed screams. With every step, fragments flashed before her, a fiery night, the townsfolk gathered, shadows flitting between them. A girl with golden hair, a boy's taunting laughter, the satisfied smirk of a figure cloaked in deceit. No! She gasped as it all crashed into her, a tidal wave of revelation, drowning her in dread. The festering wound in her memory pulsed like an open sore, bringing forth dark truths long buried. She forced herself to breathe, focusing on the key still firmly clutched in her palm, its glow steadying her racing thoughts. The church loomed ahead, its somber silhouette a haunting reminder of what had been lost. Clenching her jaw, she pressed forward, the looming threat of the shadows like a forked tongue tasting the air, ready to devour her resolve. Just as she reached the rotting doors, the whispering voices crescendoed around her, a chaotic symphony of chaos and despair. You must decide now. Will you face what you fear? Can you bear the truth? Emma hesitated, reality flickering like a faulty bulb. The memories pierced her, the figures around her amplified her inner turmoil. What would she see beyond the door? Would the truth be worth the sacrifice it demanded? With a final surge of resolve and one deep breath, Emma lifted the silver key, trembling fingers moving toward the door's lock. But a sudden, icy hand gripped her shoulder again, a familiar brush of cold dread. You have no idea what horror lies waiting for you. It was the cloaked figure again, its voice tightening around her throat like a noose. Emma's heart raced. The moment of truth awaited her, but could she encompass the weight of the past, or would it crush her entirely? The air was thick with tension as she turned to face the dark figure, determination clicking into place within her. The door loomed over her, and she whispered, "I'm ready." But were the shadows lurking behind the door more terrifying than she could ever imagine? The moment her fingers brushed against the keyhole, a moan echoed from within the darkness behind the door. The sound wrapped around Emma like a cold wind, sending shivers down her spine. The cloaked figure loomed closer, its breath on her neck, whispering promises of revelations that sounded more like curses. All you need to do is turn the key, dear Emma. But be warned, the truth may be more than you can bear. Emma's heart hammered. Fear clawed at her throat, a bitter reminder of the villagers' cries reverberating in her ears. She stopped herself from thinking too deeply. Fleeing the truth was no longer an option. Not for her. Not for them. Taking a deep breath, she plunged the key into the lock. It fit perfectly, and with a swift turn, the door creaked open. A gust of stagnant air billowed from the shadows, wrapping around her before spilling outward like a dark tide. Her senses heightened, a tangible horror danced on the tips of her fingers. Beyond the threshold, the church was draped in gloom, reminiscent of a forgotten sanctuary trapped in a perpetual storm. The thick scent of mildew and despair invaded her nostrils. Emma stepped inside, her boots crunching on broken glass that glimmered like shattered dreams strewn across the floor. The congregation of shadows hung around her, their faces blurred but eyes, those eyes, they pierced through the haze. Emma, a voice croaked, barely there yet laden with a lifetime of sorrow. It echoed off the walls, a weight borne from years hidden. As she hesitated, the cloaked figure stepped inside with her, and she could no longer ignore its looming presence. What do you seek, daughter of light? It asked, amusement slicing through the dread. Do you really think you can save them? I have to try, she managed, words tumbling out steadily. They deserve to know what happened. The figure leaned closer, and a glint caught Emma's eye. The shadows shifted, growing restless as if eager for a revelation. Then faced the altar. It gestured toward the front of the church, draped in cobwebs and silent echoes of worship long abandoned, where flickering candlelight danced like lost spirits. Your answers lie where everything began. Her legs felt heavy, yet she pressed forward. As she approached the altar, something instinctual pulled at her, the urge to expose the secrets buried under layers of pain. Each step echoed her racing heartbeat, and the air crackled with anticipation, but as she stood before the altar, all at once, the candles flared to life, illuminating the space with an eerie glow. She gasped, her breath hitching as shadows twisted into ghost-like figures, reliving moments of anguish. They were not mere spirits but representations of everything that had been taken from this place, a tapestry of grief woven with every tear shed. "Remember us," they whispered, their collective voices rising in haunting harmony. It was a plea laced with urgency, sending chills down her spine. Emma reached for her pocket, feeling the silver key's warmth against her skin. Should she unlock the memory of that fateful night? The night everything changed? Her certainty wavered, reflecting the doubt that flickered in the faces around her. "You tread a dangerous path, Emma," the cloaked figure warned, its voice sharpening to a knife's edge. "Truth is not easy, nor is it kind. What's the cost?" She shot back, glaring at the shadow. That question hung between them, heavy like the fog outside, and then, before she could gather her thoughts, reality twisted again. A blinding flash engulfed the room, plunging her into memories she didn't want to see. The walls shimmered with images of betrayal and sacrifice, each fragment more disturbing than the last. "Will you accept your fate or rewrite the script?" The cloaked figure's voice echoed, deep and foreboding, as the light swallowed her whole, crumbling the boundary between past and present. Emma's heart raced. Choices loomed before her like a fork in the road, one path leading to painful truths, the other to enduring ignorance. But one thing was clear either way, the shadows would not remain. Silent for long, the darkness closed around her, and in that moment, she realized she held more than just a key. She held the power to change everything, if she was brave enough to do it. And yet, as fear seeped into her bones, a deep-rooted question rose within her: what if the truth was worse than she imagined? The light pulsed around her before it snapped away, leaving Emma gasping in the silence of the church. The shadows, once vivid, faded to whispers, curling back like smoke in the wind. A strange stillness enveloped her, and for a heartbeat, she felt alone, even as the cloaked figure hovered just behind her. "Did you see it?" It was there again, that haunting breath against her neck. "Did you understand the price?" Emma's pulse raced. Memories flashed through her mind, moments of laughter, shouts mingled with cries, the sound of a door slamming, choices made in haste. "What do you mean? What's happening?" The figure straightened, its dark hood casting a veil over its face. "Your past is woven tightly with this place. It strains at the seams, waiting for your touch to either sever the threads or weave anew." A chill crawled up her spine. The idea of reshaping her past terrified her. What if the truth bore faces she couldn't bear to see? But beneath that fear, a pulse of determination ignited. She took a step toward the altar, drawn to the memories lingering in the air like forgotten incense. "Show me," she whispered, her voice barely a crack in the silence. "Show me everything." In response, the altar shimmered, revealing a fragmented scene, a twilight gathering of villagers. They laughed together under the old oak tree, life untouched by shadows. But as she leaned closer, the scene twisted. Lurking figures emerged from the edge of her vision, sinister and silent, watching, waiting. "What is that?" she gasped, the cries of the past echoing in her mind. Emma's chest tightened as she recognized familiar faces. Friends turned hollow, eyes brimming with fear. They were blissfully unaware of the encroaching darkness. "Everything you forgot, every lie told to protect them," the figure whispered, the amusement now replaced by a heavy sorrow. "You must reclaim the narrative." Pain shot through her chest. "But why should I? What if they're better off not knowing?" "No, daughter, the truth is a balm for wounds they've carried for too long. What you deem as ignorance is merely a bandage on the heart." The words hung heavily around her. Could she truly expose the unspeakable, or would it shatter them completely? Emma's instinct screamed at her to turn back, yet the urgency in the shadows beckoned her forward. She took another shaky breath, her fingers curling around the silver key again, as if drawing strength from it. Fine. I'll face it. But I want to do it alone. The cloaked figure nodded, and a sense of calm settled over its ominous presence. Then you have taken the first step, but be wary, each truth unveiled will demand its toll. The altar brightened, revealing a series of images, chaotic and jarring. An empty cradle, an angry mob, whispered accusations, and shattered trust. Each scene pulled her deeper into the depths of despair, yet somewhere in the tumult, a glimmer of hope sparked. Threads of courage danced between the pain, a pathway that led to forgiveness, perhaps even redemption. Emma clenched her fists, summoning her determination. They deserve the truth, no matter how grim. If I have to guide them through the darkness, I will. But at what cost will you get there? The cloaked figure's words chilled the air. Before she could respond, another flash engulfed her. This time it was the villagers' voices, rising in fury, shouts of betrayal echoing off the church walls. The very ground beneath her quaked, her head spun with the weight of their fear and anger, and Emma staggered back, struggling to maintain balance on the threshold of revelation. As images collided and crashed around her, she felt a grip tightening on her wrist, chilling yet familiar. Emma! You must decide. The voice of the cloaked figure cut through the chaos, firm yet desperate. The shadows loomed closer, threatening to swallow her whole, but amidst the barrage of agony, a single thought clung to her mind: could the truth offer them the freedom they so desperately needed? And before she could answer, darkness whispered another name, one that sent a jolt through her body. Find him, Emma. The key to it all lies with him. Emma's heart raced. Who? What did it mean? As the world swirled around her, she sensed time slipping from her grasp, the clock ticking closer to the moment of reckoning. This was just the beginning. What faced her next could well break them or set them free. Would she dare uncover the secrets that bound them all? The altar shuddered beneath Emma's feet, the air thick with an electric tension. Memories swirled in dizzying fragments, an agonizing montage that gnawed at her core. The shadows tightened their grip around her, twisting her surroundings. She saw faces, each one splintered by grief, anger, and betrayal. Deep down, she felt the weight of their collective pain pressing against her chest. Find him, the key to it all lies with him. The whisper echoed in her head, relentless. Who was he? And why did the cloaked figure want her to seek him out? Emma's instincts screamed for answers, but terror gripped her like an iron vice. What if discovering this key only deepened the darkness? The murmurs of the villagers grew louder. She could no longer recognize them as mere memories, they became her reality. Their expressions were etched with fear and desperation, and she realized it wasn't just her past she had to confront. It was their past, too. The weight of their shared history pressed down upon her. Each whisper seemed to claw at her resolve, each betrayer, liar, and fool echoed like a sharp blade. Emma looked at the cloaked figure, who stood unmoving. You have to help me, she pleaded, her words tumbling out in a choked whisper. What am I supposed to do? Find him, the figure hissed, voice a whisper of smoke. Embrace chaos. Revelations can shatter illusions but must be faced directly. Chaos? Emma echoed, dread curling in her stomach. What if it destroys them? What if it destroys me? As if responding to her guilt, a new vision spun in the air before her, a broken compass. She observed herself standing in the village square, the worn cobblestones heavy with unshed tears. It was then that she saw him, a boy, no more than 10, with wide eyes that mirrored the depths of the sorrow she felt. His fragile frame trembled. Make them see you, the boy said, his voice a mere breath. Please. They have forgotten. Her hands shook as she reached for the image, yet it slipped and shattered like glass upon impacting reality. The world exploded in a burst of light and sound, and Emma stumbled back, disoriented. When clarity returned, she stood before the church door, its heavy wood splintered as if slammed by unrelenting force. What do I have to lose? She murmured, determination filling her lungs against the suffocating dread. If I don't find him, will remain trapped in this cycle of lies. The cloaked figure stepped closer, shadows folding around them like tendrils. Then step forward. But prepare yourself, not all truths are kind. Not all are forgiving. Emma's throat tightened. Forgiving or forgotten? Without waiting for an answer, she pushed the door open. Light flooded in, illuminating the chaos outside. Villagers surrounded the square, faces twisted in anger and despair. Their cries reverberated in her ears, a chaotic symphony of betrayal and hopelessness. She felt sick, but something else blossomed within her, a fierce flame igniting hope. Perhaps, amidst the fury, lay the path to redemption. "Where are you?" she called out, the desperate words escaping her. "I need you. I'll find you." A gust of wind swept through the square, silencing the crowd for a fleeting moment. Behind them, a dark figure emerged from the shadows, the boy from her vision, his eyes wide and pleading. "Emma," he called, a haunting echo of urgency. "You must hurry. The truth is near, but so is the danger." The villagers gasped as they turned, disbelief painting their expressions. Emma's heart raced. This was at the pivotal moment that could alter everything. "Wait." She reached out, her body trembling. "If you know what I need, don't vanish. Face the truth." He cried as darkness enveloped him, and just like that, he was gone, leaving behind a chilling silence that threatened to swallow her whole. Emma stood frozen, heart pounding, feeling the burden of power and responsibility. Did the truth lie within her grasp? The shadows tensed, and she could sense a storm brewing. As the air grew thick with expectation, a sinister thought gnawed at her: would finding him lead her to salvation, or doom them? All the villagers began to murmur restlessly, their fear palpable. Emma glanced at them, a knot of uncertainty tightening deep in her core. It wouldn't just be her life hanging in the balance, it was everything and everyone she loved. Would she dare confront the past, shatter the darkness, and find the boy who held the key? Or would she retreat into the familiar comfort of lies, letting the shadows reign? In that moment of doubt, Emma knew she had to decide before it was too late. Emma's heart drummed in her chest, echoing the villagers' cries. The air around her twisted, charged with more than just fear. It thrummed with a shared anxiety that clung to her like webs of smoke. Shadows swirled, forming dark pools that threatened to engulf her. "Where did he go?" she whispered, looking around. The villagers' gazes bore into her, a mixture of anger and hope flickering in their eyes. "Did you see him?" someone shouted from the crowd, jolting Emma from her thoughts. "You let him slip away again." "No." Emma's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and clear. "I didn't let him go. I need to find him." She turned, searching each face, each expression. The villagers whispered among themselves, uncertainty tightening their features. What did she mean, find him? Hadn't they already lost him? A man stepped forward, his face an angry mask, eyes blazing. "What's done is done, Emma. You can't keep searching for the boy. He's a ghost of our past, haunting us. But what if he holds the truth?" She shot back, urgency flooding her voice. "What if he is the key to understanding everything that has happened?" The crowd surged, hesitating between disbelief and a desperate need for hope. Emma could feel their collective heartbeats, could sense their yearning for answers. In their eyes, she saw fragments of her own fear reflected back, but also the glimmer of resolve. "Emma," the cloaked figure's voice broke through the din, echoing from the shadows at the sanctuary's edge. "Time is slipping away. Chaos is already in motion. They need you whether they know it or not. Who are you?" A woman with tear-streaked cheeks shouted, her voice trembling with both anger and confusion. "What do you know?" The figure stepped forward, shrouded in darkness yet somehow illuminated. "The truth can burn, and it takes courage to face it. Confront what waits beyond the shadows." "Courage?" Emma scoffed, but it was a nervous reaction, laced with denial. I can't be the only one responsible for this. Yet, you are, the figure replied, their tone stern but almost soothing. The burdens we carry, we must bear. Only through understanding can we break this cycle. A chill danced down Emma's spine at the thought. The weight of her choices pressed heavily against her like a storm overhead. The boy's eyes flashed in her mind, pleading, begging for recognition. What if I can't save you? She shouted, feeling a swell of desperation rising in her throat. What if I only make it worse? Worse? A voice from the crowd called, disbelief lacing their tone. You've already experienced worse. We've all lost so much, can you afford to let it continue? Emma inhaled sharply, the air thick with dread and anticipation. An image of the boy surfaced again, his eyes filled with untold stories, trapped in the past. I won't let fear dictate my choices anymore. She shouted, forcing strength into her voice. If my journey uncovers the truth, if it breaks this curse, I will face whatever it takes. A wave of murmurs passed through the villagers, uncertainty replaced by a flicker of hope. Emma held their gaze, determination shining in her eyes. Maybe the boy wasn't lost after all. In her heart, she felt their anticipation swell, like wind before the storm. She took a step forward, unraveling the darkness with each movement. But just as she was about to reach the heart of the village square, a piercing scream shattered the tension. The crowd bolted, faces twisted in sudden fear. Emma spun, her stomach knotting as she locked eyes with the cloaked figure. It has begun, he warned, the shadows coiling around him like tendrils from a creeping nightmare. And in that moment, the sky split open, and a crack of lightning illuminated the square, revealing something unimaginable. Emma blinked, heart racing. She could feel the chaos unfurling around her, sensing something ancient stirring beneath her feet. Emma! At that cry, her blood ran cold as she turned to find a figure lurking at the church's edge, something or someone other than the boy. His presence screamed danger, an ominous specter shrouded in shadows, watching and waiting. In that heartbeat, she realized, her choices would not just change her fate. They would change everyone she loved. And as the thunder rumbled, casting long shadows into the night, she wondered, could she face the truth, or would she falter in the eye of the storm? Emma! The figure beckoned again, and she took a moment, breath caught in her throat, every instinct begging her to run. But she knew she could not hide. The answer was lurking, and the time to act was now before the storm reached its peak. The figure at the edge of the church loomed larger in Emma's mind, every detail sharpened in the brief flicker of lightning. An energy radiated from him, a darkness that settled into her bones. Each pulse of thunder seemed to punctuate her rising fear, an ominous soundtrack to the unfolding chaos. Who are you? She called out again, her voice fighting to hold steady, yet it cracked at the edges. She had to know, his head tilted slightly as if savoring the question. I've come to remind you, Emma. The past does not rest lightly, he said, his voice smooth yet chilling. And neither should you. A murmur rippled through the crowd, the villagers' fear reaching a new pitch. They pressed together, a mass of eyes flickering between Emma and the figure, confusion blending with terror. Is he here for you? A woman gasped, her hands clutching another's arm. Some retreated, inching back like the tide drawn from an impending storm. I didn't summon him. Emma shouted over the rising panic. I need to know what he wants. Then ask him. Someone shouted back, voice laced with desperation. All at once, the crowd hushed, a sea of anxious faces turned toward her. Holding her breath, Emma stepped forward, channeling all her inner strength. If she was the one meant to break the cycle, she had to confront the darkness. Why are you here? She demanded, eyes locked onto the figure. What do you want from us? His lips stretched into a sardonic smile, a glimpse of something sharp and hungry playing in his gaze. What I want doesn't matter, dear girl. What matters is what you fear. And I know your fear runs deep. Emma felt a bead of sweat slip down her spine. She could feel it surfacing, that twisted anxiety she had buried, the fear of forever losing everyone and everything she loved. A moment of silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. You don't know anything about my fears, she snapped, although it came out weak. Oh, but belief is powerful, he replied, taking a step closer, and the shadows danced around his ankles, creeping toward her. The truth you seek is stitched into your soul. It will hurt to face it, but half-hearted truths only deepen the wound. With those words, an eerie calm washed over her. She glanced back at the villagers, their faces painted with fear, yet also a burning hope that flickered like a candle in the dark. She was their beacon, their only chance of uncovering the nightmare that had swallowed their past. You are bound to this place, the figure continued, his voice a whisper, laced with honeyed poison. You cannot find freedom until the truth is unearthed, until he is found. Emma's heart sank. The boy? She breathed, realization dawning. Ah, yes, the boy. He tilted his head, the shadows swirling like smoke around him. He knows more than you can imagine. But do you have the courage to hear it? A torrent of memories crashed over her, images of laughter tainted by tears, echoes of lost dreams. Would confronting this truth bring more pain? The moment hung heavy in the air, tension thick as she stood there wavering. Emma! A voice rang out, pulling her back to reality. It was one of the villagers, eyes wide. Something's happening. The crowd gasped, pointing toward the sky where dark clouds twisted unnaturally. A low rumble reverberated through the ground, shaking them to their very core. What is it? Emma whispered, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. The cloaked figure smirked, stepping back into the shadows. Chaos is a precursor. The moment is upon you. A blinding flash lit the square again, revealing dark figures swirling in the corners of her sight, lurking just beyond the edges. Emma's resolve wavered but was ignited by the group's yearning for an answer. She called out, heart hammering. I will confront it. I will not let fear bind us any longer. The ground trembled beneath her feet, echoing her promise. But as she pushed forward, every instinct screamed at her, warning her that the truth she stepped toward could dismantle everything she loved. Emma, she hesitated, dread creeping back in. What lay ahead could be her salvation or damnation. Would she find the boy and uncover the truth, or would darkness consume her once and for all? The air thickened with a perilous charge as thunder boomed overhead, shaking the village to its foundations. Emma stood on the precipice, heart racing, breaths shallow. What awaited her in this torrent of chaos? The echo of her own voice rang in her ears, a question that would forever linger. Am I ready? The storm raged around Emma as she stood on the threshold of the village square, a whirlwind of chaos spiraling above them, threatening to sweep away everything in its path. The cloaked figure loomed like a dark omen, its presence both terrifying and strangely compelling. It was the catalyst. It pressed her to confront the messy truth cowering within shadows. Find him, Emma. The voice cried out, sharp as glass piercing through her mind. The boy is your only key to untangling the past. But as the wind howled and the ground trembled, doubt nibbled at her courage. What if he wasn't the salvation they all hoped for? What if he brought with him a horror that could shatter the fragile peace hanging in the air? Ominous questions spiraled inside her as the thunder cracked open the sky, revealing fierce streaks of lightning. Every ounce of her being urged her to flee, to let the secrets rot away, but the villagers' anguished expressions anchored her. You have to decide now, Emma. The shadows hissed, intertwining with the gathering storm, each whisper a reminder of the urgency. The truth does not wait. Gritting her teeth, she sent a fierce glare at the cloaked figure. You think you can scare me? I will confront the darkness whatever it takes. With each step she took towards the heart of the chaos, her determination grew stronger, each breath igniting embers of hope in her chest. She wouldn't turn away. This was about more than her fears, it was for the villagers, for the boy lost in the echoes of time, for everyone who deserved the chance to break free from the chains of their past. The wind swirled, sending debris flying wildly, yet she pressed on. The square morphed into a tempest, but amid the chaos, she felt a strange calm settle within. That boy, the one who had once called out to her, could not be lost forever. "Emma!" the villagers cried, their voices trembling in the storm's torrent. Eyes wide with both hope and terror, they clung to her resolve, waiting for her to lead them out of the mire. "I will find him," she yelled back, her voice cutting through the tempest, firm and unwavering. "And I will bring the truth free." Racing forward, Emma fished through the veil of night, desperately seeking the boy and the message whispered through her dreams. The reality shifted, each heartbeat synced with the thundering chaos. Then, right before her, the storm began to part, revealing the ghostly outline of a familiar figure, the boy, swimming through shadows as if searching for escape. His luminous eyes locked onto hers, filled with both hope and a depth of sorrow that twisted her heart. "Emma!" he called, his voice a melodic echo that tugged at her very soul. "You found me. But you must hurry, time is running out. Tell me what I need to do." She shouted, pushing through the chaos, her heart racing. "I'm ready to face it." "Unlock the memories," he urged, and in an instant, they were there, the memories she feared, the laughter that turned into screams, the anger that painted faces in despair. "Face them all at once. Not just for you, but for everyone trapped by the shadows." As the torrents of memories began to unravel, a blinding light surged, threatening to consume her. Darkness pressed close on every side, clawing at her resolve, but Emma steadied herself, clenching the silver key she had once believed was a burden. With sheer power marshalling within her, she lifted it high. "Enough!" she cried, heart dancing with the energy of the storm. "I will face what is hidden. No more fear." With one swift, resolute motion, she plunged the key into the fog of memories coiling around them. A brilliance erupted, a surge of light so fierce it eclipsed the storm, scattering the shadows in all directions. There they were, the villagers, the boy and the cloaked figure. They no longer felt like enemies, they were all part of this tapestry of pain, woven into a collective nightmare that sought release. Emma stepped forward into the dazzling light, forcing herself to confront each fragmented memory. Time folded around her, a kaleidoscope of faces and voices spun like a cyclone. Each flash of her past was raw, real, and relentless. Yet within that chaos, she felt the warmth of her own heart. Every shred of pain now felt necessary, almost like a stepping stone leading her to a place of understanding, and at last, she reached toward the boy, the version of him etched in whispers of ancient sorrow, the one tangled in the web of their history. "I am here," she cried, "you are seen. You will not be forgotten." With a rush, the truth broke through, the laughter of forgotten times rippling back like a soothing balm. The shadows shrieked and recoiled as Emma rose with power coursing through her. "We can heal, together. We can break this cycle. No more hidden truths. The past will weight nothing if we embrace it." With that, the memories flooded them all, and she felt eyes looking at her with clarity, a community sharing their burdens. A collective gasp echoed through the village, rippling with realization, and for the first time, they transcended their fears together. The storm retreated, and with it, the shadows that once threatened to consume them began to dissolve, ushering in the dawn that poured through the edges of the night. The villagers emerged hand in hand, bright-eyed and hopeful, as sunlight bathed the square in warmth and redemption. Emma looked around, breathless, filled with an undeniable sense of triumph and unity. They had faced the truth together, healing opened wounds and letting in the light at last. Amid the rubble of what had been, resilience bloomed, a promise of rebirth hanging in the morning air. She turned back to the boy, the palpable connection between them woven of gratitude, neither a gift nor a curse anymore, but a cherished moment shared within the fabric of their reality. "Thank you," she whispered, and he beamed back, his presence now a shimmering memory within her heart. As the new dawn broke, Emma walked forward, surrounded by love, understanding that they had risen from the ashes and met the light. They had learned to live with their wounds, every fear, every shadow whispering a story, now shining with renewed hope, and as she stepped into the unfolding day, she knew the real journey had just begun, one where they would carry the shared truths forward, weaving a new path together, where darkness could never reign again. Now, let's not forget about the urgency of this moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss any more exclusive stories like this one. Smash that like button and feed the algorithm, show your support for this amazing community. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Flood the comments section right now with your thoughts and theories about the ending. Let us connect and celebrate together.